Hey, Mr. here with another weekly news bulletin, and the news bulletin covers some of the YouTube and gaming news that's happened over the last week, some of the larger stories, as well as some of the smaller but still pretty cool stories. And this week we've got a story about Markiplier, Casey Neistat, big news from Casey Neistat front, Xbox, Overwatch, Super Mario, League of Legends, Battleright, and No Man's Sky. We've got a lot to cover. So having said all that, let the news begin. First up is a story about Markiplier. He is a YouTuber with over 15 million subscribers, and he does collabs with another YouTuber, Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie, and he also does collabs with others besides that. Now, besides his video game escapades, which he uploads, sort of like does Let's Play videos and things like that, he does with the collabs with Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie, and he does some things with others on a thing called Revel Mode, which is a kind of massive sort of collab thing that does some charitable good deeds and things like that. Well, Variety is reporting that Markiplier has just recently signed with WME, the supermassive talent agency that also looks after the likes of Ben Affleck, Vin Diesel, Hugh Jackman, Tina Fey, Emma Stone, and a whole bunch of others. And the reason he signed up is because he wants to push himself into music and acting and more traditional media kind of stuff. I don't think he knows exactly what he's getting into, that if you start to do more traditional acting and suddenly you've got to go and live on site somewhere in the middle of nowhere for 3 months and you can't just come and go as you please like he can at the moment. Not 100% sure he really knows what he's going to get himself into, but okay, he wants to do it, so good luck to him on that. Next up, we have some very big news from Casey Neistat. Now, he is a YouTuber with 5.7 million subscribers, and he's been doing a daily vlog for the last 18 months. Now, he recently caused a little bit of a stir when he put a video out saying he was voting for Hillary Clinton, and he urged his subscribers to pressure other YouTubers to do likewise videos. Now, some said he was actually inciting harassment on YouTube, which is against YouTube's terms of service, and some questioned his integrity when it came out that he had actually done work for Miss Clinton in the past. And when the election was over, his next daily vlog was all about his election day. And at the end of the vlog, he was sitting on an aeroplane looking at the results and seeing Hillary Clinton's commiseration speech, I guess you could say, hey, I've lost. And he congratulated the new president-elect and he moved on with his life, continued doing his vlogs. Well, he has just announced he's going to quit his daily vlog. He said he wants to be the one who grabs from one vine to another vine like a Tarzan sort of a guy. He doesn't want to be the guy who is still making vlogs when he's 40. He wants to push for something more. He wants to go for other goals and he wants to move on from doing a daily vlog. So that's it. He's stopping his daily vlog. He said he's not going to give up YouTube. He'll still upload videos, just not daily ones. He had considered possibly maybe doing 2 vlogs a week or something like that, but he realized the only way to move forward for him was to completely stop the vlog, and so he has. And that way he wants to do videos that take a little bit more effort to put out there. If you want to see the full 10-minute video where he talks about it all, you'll find it in the link in the description below. Next up, we've got a little piece about the Xbox. Yes, Microsoft's Xbox. On November the 15th, that's just a few days ago, they celebrated their 15th anniversary. Yep. The Xbox was released in North America on the 15th of November in 2001. It sold over 24 million units before it was replaced in 2006 by the Xbox 360. The best-selling game on the original Xbox was Halo 2. It sold 8 million copies. The Xbox 360 sold 77 million consoles before it got discontinued in 2016. And the best-selling game on the 360 was Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which sold over 14 million units. So now the replacement is Xbox One, and so far that has sold 3 million units. 3 million consoles of Xbox One have been sold, and so far the most sold game on the Xbox One is Titanfall. Now I did a little bit of sums, I worked out my sums, and figured out how much altogether, how much money has been made from the sales of all the consoles over the last 15 years, and it adds up. It adds up to $31 billion, $31,396 million. That's how much they've made. That's how much Microsoft has made from just selling the consoles. Don't worry about games or anything else. That's just console sales over the last 15 years. That just blows my mind. Next up, we've got an update about the planned Overwatch graphic novel, and that was going to be called First Strike. Now, this was going to be a novel, and it kind of told the early days of the story of the heroes in the Overwatch universe. It was almost going to be released, and since then, since the initial idea for the graphic novel came about, the Overwatch universe has expanded and there's actually a lot more to the backstory. The core still remains the same, but there is a lot more backstory. And so ultimately the decision was made to take the graphic novel story in a different direction. And so they've had to do that. They had to cancel the graphic novel. They do promise that they have a lot of backstory to tell, and there's a whole range of different stories to tell to cover the different characters and heroes within the Overwatch universe, and that it is something that they still want to do. However, they have given no word on when any of that is going to happen. So at the moment, the graphic novel, the Overwatch graphic novel that was due to be coming out very shortly, has just been canned. Next up is a story about Tencent. Again, Tencent Holdings. Now, they are the owners of League of Legends, and now that the deal has gone through, they own Supercell, which makes Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, and they do own 12% of Activision, as well as owning China's largest internet portal. Well, they have just announced a joint venture with Qualcomm, who is the world's leading provider of 3G, 4G and next G wireless sort of stuff, like your phones and things work wirelessly. And their joint venture is aimed to try and tap into the growing markets of augmented reality. So the game like Ingress and Pokemon Go, they are augmented reality games, and virtual reality games as well. That's what they want to try and develop into and bring those sorts of things to mobile devices. So obviously you need the advanced technology of Qualcomm into bringing into mobile devices for your virtual reality to be able to be displayed on the mobile devices. So that is something that Tencent and Qualcomm are now working on. They're going to set up a little building and staff it and begin working on that. Next up, we've got a story about Angry Birds. Now, the company who makes Angry Birds released a game called Angry Birds Football, which it was originally called Angry Birds Goal. And they released that game as a soft launch in April 2016, this year. And they've just announced that they'll be shutting down the servers sometime on or a little bit after December the 15th, because obviously the game hasn't done as well as they thought, and it's not covering server cost or whatever little numbers they have. So that's it. It's the end of Angry Birds Football. Next up is a story from Nintendo about Super Mario. I think we all know who Mario is, originally the character that started with Donkey Kong back in the 80s. Well, what Nintendo has done is they will be releasing a Super Mario endless scrolling running game. So if you think of, say, something like Subway Surfer or Jetpack Joyrider, they are endless running games. Well, Nintendo will be releasing one called Super Mario Run. They're going to be releasing that on December 15, and it will be for iOS only. And there's no word on when it will be coming out for Android. However, it's pretty certain that it won't be coming out for Android in 2016. So it'll have to be an Android 2017 sort of a deal. The gameplay is basically you touch the screen to make Mario jump, and you hold your finger on the screen longer to make him jump higher and for longer periods of time. Now, the game's going to have 3 game modes. It's going to be having the running mode, which is endless runner, of course. You jump and you collect the gold coins, standard Mario kind of a thing. There'll be a sort of a ghost mode. I think it's called Toad Rally, where it's like you play against the ghost of another player. So the sort of little ghosty image is on the screen with your Mario at the same time. And you both try and see who can get ahead or who can finish the level first, fastest, and maybe collect the most coins. And the third game mode is called Mushroom Kingdom. And you basically, all the gold you get in the game, you then use that you spend it in your Mushroom Kingdom and you grow your own little town or village or whatnot. Now, the thing with the Mario is you don't have to do anything to make him run. He just will run automatically by himself. So all you're actually doing is controlling his jumping by the tapping. And that will be released on December 15 on iOS. Next up is a story about League of Legends, the MOBA game that is made by Riot Games. And of course, as I mentioned already, League of Legends Riot Games is owned by Tencent Holdings. Now, last week, a letter was signed by 18 of the 20 League of Legends teams asking Riot to address some of the problems that they saw as needing to be addressed in the game and for the championship series for them, the teams, to continue. Now, they outlined 6 basic problems. That it's quite a long letter, but the 6 basic problems that they outlined is number 1, a lack of job security, fair compensation and longer careers for players, which is currently caused by inefficient compensation and regulation. 2, the damage to the team's ability to invest in championship players caused by insufficient compensation and overregulation. 3, weakening of the relationships between the fans and the championships in the championship caused by regulation. 4, the harm to the team's sponsorships caused by regulation and the championship's restrictions on sponsors. 5, the effective elimination of any path that anyone has to become a pro player because the teams need to redirect resources from the championship as a result of insufficient compensation and overregulation. And 6, the financial hardships suffered by the teams caused by insufficient compensations paid to the teams. Now, one of the shoutcasters, Christopher Michaels, he's also known as Monte Cristo, he went on record as saying that he was actually paid more money by Blizzard for 2 weeks of shoutcasting the game Overwatch than for 5 weeks of shoutcasting the championship series for Riot Games. At the moment, the players are paid $12,500 each for the 5-week championship season, while Riot made last year $1.6 billion in revenue. Now, that's just what they made. That doesn't mean profit, but makes it look a little bit disparating when you're paying a player $12,000, but your company just made $1.6 billion. Of course, remember that the company's got lots of staff that they need to pay, but besides the players. But anyway, this is part of the complaint that they have. So basically what they want is they want the regulations to be relaxed so that they can acquire more sponsors of their own choosing. They want a share in the digital skin sales, and they want $700,000 up front for the work that they do in promoting the game in the championship series. In essence, they want fewer regulations and to be paid more. If you want to see the letter that they signed in its entirety, I'll provide a link to that in the description below. Next up is Battleright. Last week I mentioned that Battleright was conducting a tournament-style competition over the coming months. Well, that has started, and the good news is it's still open to everyone. And what they're doing is they're running a 2 versus 2 tournament on Tuesdays and a 3 versus 3 tournament on Fridays. And each day that they do it, they run 2 tournaments. So they run a North American one and a European one. Now they're streaming, so they'll do a 2 versus 2 North American teams, and then hours later 2 versus 2 European teams. And then on the Friday it's 3 versus 3 North American teams, and then 3 versus 3 European teams. Now they are streaming out of the NGE studios in Burbank, California, and I've got to say, if you haven't seen the stream, I've got to tell you, it's like watching high-def television. When you watch this stream, people in the chat are going, oh my god, I don't know how you guys can stream so well. Well, they can stream so well because they're streaming out of studios in Burbank, California, and they're not just streaming from their computer back home somewhere. Now, the winners are getting $200, second place is getting $100, third place is getting a cool in-game character for their little characters like a steed for their little characters to ride around on, and the winners in the second place get that as well. And each tournament consists of a bunch of people playing off until you get to the final 8, and then they're streaming the final 8. At the moment, they're still tweaking exactly how they want to run the competition, and they're making little adjustments as they go along because they want this to be like a precursor to a Battleright league. So they're using these little tournaments to streamline things so that by the time they're all said and done, they're ready to just launch into having a Battleright league. Now, if you want to see the stream, you want to sign up and all that sort of thing, check the description below. I'll put all the links down there for Battleright that you need to get going with that. And last but not least, we've got a story about No Man's Sky. Now, this is the game that was touted like no other. You don't know what it is. It's a game where they were saying that you could play of one of different character classes, like you might be a trader. It's all based in space, and you could explore the universe as a trader, trading between planets and things like that. The whole thing was going to be procedurally generated. There's going to be like quintillion planets. You would never meet another real person in your life, like ever. You could probably play the game for 15 years and not ever come across another real person because the universe was so big. You'd be able to name planets and animals that you find on the planets and everything. And of course, if you were on the planet, you had to mine resources to build things anyway. At this point, cue the disappointment. When the game was released, people quickly found themselves on the same planet as other people, and even they'd be talking to each other on Discord, and they're on the same planet, and it's like, are you there? Yeah, I'm here, I'm there. Where are you? I can't see you. They're basically standing next to each other on the same planet, but they can't see each other. The game was touted that it was going to be so big that was impossible, and it was also supposed to have a multiplayer. And, well, there is no multiplayer, and the whole thing has just been the most massive disappointment going. People are outraged, like you can imagine, after spending $60 for the game and finding out that you can't do anything at all as advertised. Steam, the game that you can download it from, has 75,364 reviews of that game, and 70% of those reviews are negative. Now, since the release and the massive backlash, of course, the company behind No Man's Sky, Hello Games, they've remained quiet, saying basically nothing, no tweets, nothing. It's all been just dead silence from them. They're not answering anything about the false allegations and anything about the false advertising allegations and the misrepresentation to the gaming community, and nothing. They're just keeping dead quiet. Now, just the other day, one of the game's designers, Gareth Bourne, he left Hello Games for another game company, which is making a game called Star Citizen. And Star Citizen looks like it's going to be along similar lines to No Man's Sky. And there is a little bit of a drama going on with Star Citizen as well, with funds they've raised and not delivering and so on and so forth. But a lot of people are thinking that because Gareth Bourne has left Hello Games, which makes No Man's Sky, it's kind of like sealing the death knell for No Man's Sky, that there is going to be no promised update at all. No Man's Sky's got other problems where people have paid advanced money, and they paid large money to have like little models of ships and everything, actual real thing. No one's getting any of those either. So it's big dramas with No Man's Sky at the moment. Sony distributes the game for PlayStation and they're not very happy. Customers aren't happy, and there are purported lawsuits in the UK around false advertising, and it's going nuts. There's some game release people in the UK, and they're now reconsidering how they're going to allow people to come to their conventions and present games, and how they're going to have to try and vet them to find out more actual truth about the games instead of letting this kind of false information get spread around. I know a couple of YouTubers that were right into it. They were going to get into it. They've downloaded the game, and pretty well overnight they just abandoned it because it was not what the game said it was going to be. So in essence, it looks like that it's going to be the dud of the decade. And what I'm going to have to do is keep an eye on what's happening with this game, because they're not saying anything. So when something comes out, it's going to have to be like last minute and quickly, and I'll get that into any news bulletin that as soon as I find out about it. But as it is, things are not looking good for the game at all. Anyway, that's it for this news bulletin. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I do appreciate it. You will find links to the YouTubers mentioned in the description below. You'll find other links to some of the articles and things that I've mentioned also in the description below. Please comment to let me know which story that you liked the most. Please leave a like, leave a thumb up, because it does help the channel. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other news bulletins. And until I see you in the next video, stay frosty.